Rachel Maddow is out. She's no longer there 5 days a week. She's just going to show up for, like a cameo on Monday. Hey, good work if you can get it. And this is the lady. This is the broad. Good old Peppermint Patty who's coming in her place. Peppermint Patty who believes that we need laws and regulation to better interfere and intervene with social media because of the fake news on social media, like it's all totally real, what you're getting on MSNBC, right?
I got started in Democratic politics. Most of it was like local TV ads. That was what it was about. Obviously, national TV, local print. Those local TV is held to a higher standard of accountability than social media platforms in terms of having accurate information on their platforms. That is crazy. And so it is, how does it change? How are people held to account? Laws have to change.
Ooh, laws have to change. You have to be able to, arrest somebody like they do in Germany or the UK. If you say something the government doesn't like, bump, bump, gone are you. Come on. So this is the new woman who's like the face of MSNBC. I don't think Rachel likes it. I want to show you the shade that she's been putting forward about her colleague taking over her job. So this is like what you call a double-handed compliment. This is like a compliment, but not really a compliment. She told People magazine, Rachel Maddow, told People magazine, the thing Psaki has, which I do not have, which is going to make 9 o'clock better. Oh, she says that because, she's getting the 25 mil with Jen Psaki than it is with Rachel Maddow, is that she both knows people and knows how to talk to people. Maddow explained. She added, quote, I really am a weird little hermit. Okay, we won't dispute that. At least the weird part, who works great with my staff. But I don't know anybody in Washington. I don't know anybody in the news, and it's on purpose. I am not great at interacting with people. I'm not a great interviewer. Oh, that's true. And I'm not great at cultivating sources. Oh, you're just a bad reporter then. It's not my thing. I'm a reader, not a talker. So the reason I'm saying this is shade at Jen Psaki is she's trying to say that, Jen Psaki is the schmoozer. She's the one that has inside the Beltway, connections that will bring you the status quo, whereas she, Rachel, was just bringing you something authentic. Maybe this is because she's trying to spin it into her little podcast, right? She's just the weird little hermit who has her view, and she's not actually giving you anything that's spoon-fed by the Biden White House. I mean, I would beg to differ. I think the whole darn show was spoon-fed to her by the Biden White House. Let's be honest, right? You watched that. I watched that. Actually, you probably didn't watch that. I watched it for you and brought you the sound bites so that you would know what the other side is saying. It's important we have full context around all of this. But she really does not seem to like Jen Psaki that much. I bet Jen Psaki's not getting 25 mil. Hey, Peppermint Patty, you're going to have to start being a little bit more demanding. Clearly, Comcast thinks they got the money. Well, they won't have it for long. Again, Spinco on the way. Get ready. Gear up. Jen Psaki will do this status quo show of some sort. I think that's what Rachel was trying to convey. It probably won't work because you know what? Nothing works over there. Nobody wants to buy whatever it is they are selling. That's reality for you. Meanwhile, people aren't buying what they're selling on MSNBC, on CNN, or any of these liberal networks because why? It's not real. It's not true. It's a bunch of lies, like bought and paid for by somebody. Think about all the lies that we were fed, specifically vis-a-vis one Joe Biden. Poor Joe Biden. Remember this one here? I never liked Georgia Maloney as much as this moment in time. If you're listening on our audio Spotify podcast, thank you for that. I'll just describe what we're seeing. Georgia Maloney, you see this? She sees Biden wandering off because he's like attracted to the parachuters or something. And she just so gracefully moves herself aside. Everybody else, Macron, everybody, they're sitting there like bumps on a log, right? But Georgia's like totally the handler. She's acting like mom saying, oh my gosh, I got to get a handle on him. Gosh, look at him putting on his sunglasses. It takes him forever. He's moving slower. He's old, folks. He's old. And yet, Good, kudos to Giorgia Meloni, conservative, by the way, there, leading Italy. But you think about that and the way you weren't allowed to talk about this. We had to be really careful, right? You had to be super careful because you had to kind of qualify everything. I'd be like, well, I'm not a doctor, but you know what? I've seen this before. I've seen it before. And when you know, you know. And yet they all tried to cover it up. I mean, Lara Trump knew. And then Jake Tapper, who's writing a book on the cover-up now, think of the irony of this, trying to make another buck, he got all after her back in the day. He slammed her down. This was unbelievable to watch, especially in light of everything.
Every time he comes on stage or they turn to him, I'm like, Joe, can you get it out? Let's get the words out, Joe. You kind of feel bad for him.
How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
First and foremost, I had no idea that Joe Biden ever suffered from a stutter. I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable
You are
to watch somebody on stage search for
It's so
questions
amazing. It's so amazing to me
and try and figure out an answer.
A cognitive decline.
Well, when you're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was
I think that you were mocking his stutter.
Yeah,
I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline. I would think that somebody in the Trump family would be more sensitive to people who do not have medical licenses diagnosing politicians from afar. Plenty of people have diagnosed your father from afar, and I'm sure it offends you. Your father-in-law from afar. I'm sure it offends you. You don't have any standing to say.
I'm not diagnosing him. What I'm saying, Jake,
you just talked
is
about
that
a cognitive decline.
That Joe Biden
I have one last
struggling
question for you, Laura. You can't
times on stage, and it's very concerning to a lot of people that this could be the leader of the free world.
Okay.
That is all I'm saying. I genuinely feel sorry for Joe Biden.
I appreciate it. I'm sure.
Unbelievable, right? So this is the guy now out there peddling a book on the cover-up. He was the cover-up. Literally was the cover-up. And then when he decided, along with David Axelrod and David Plouffe, the Obama campaign handlers, Obama, George Clooney, when they all decided, okay, maybe this has gone too far and maybe actually Biden's not going to win, we need to put up Kamala, he went out and spoke, from his pulpit about how we had to get rid of Joe Biden and that the evidence was there. Well, Lara Trump told you the evidence was there. I told you the evidence was there. A lot of people knew the evidence was there. You refused to admit it. I mean, you and the rest of the media, for goodness sakes, these schmoes over at Morning Joe, best Biden ever. I mean, this makes me sick.
Now, he's cogent. But I undersold him when I said he was cogent. He's far beyond cogent. In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been. Intellectually, analytically, because he's been around for 50 years. And, I don't know if people know this or not, Biden used to be a hothead. Sometimes that Irishman would get in front of the reasoning. Sometimes he would say things he didn't want to say. This is, and I don't really, I don't really care. Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever. Not a close second. And I've known him for years. The Brzezinskis have known him for 50 years. If it weren't the truth, I wouldn't say it. And you...
I'm just going to keep playing that and playing. I'm sorry. I know nobody wants to watch Morning Joe, but wow. Okay. Wow. So here's what I'm going to tell you. This media cover-up was so much bigger than anything you could possibly imagine.